mentioned earlier sort of a background in the legal profession. You've got a personal resume, obviously, that extends beyond working here in Lansing. What does that resume look like? What's your previous experience, and if you could touch on your courtroom experience?
Sure. I'm proud of that. In fact, when I graduated from law school, I actually worked through law school. I was a clerk, a judicial clerk, and a law clerk, and sometimes I worked 2 jobs and one on the weekend through law school. And the moment I graduated from law school and passed the bar, I began my own practice. I started my own practice. It grew, and I'm proud of the fact that I was able to grow it big enough where I had to merge it with another firm. The firm I joined, I became the youngest partner of that firm in its history. And I continued to represent people and families. I have broad experience in areas such as, for example, when MDOT tried to come into to the city of Almont and take away the property of citizens up and down M53, I took their case to court, and I made sure that they didn't get their property taken away, and that was an opportunity for me to really stand up for what I believe in, which is private property rights. I also have clients who, for example, came to me and said that they had just had their identity stolen. And it was then my responsibility to ensure that no criminal prosecution happened and that we cleansed their credit history. We all know how important our credit history is in this world today. So I've done that before. As a local prosecutor, I had the opportunity to prosecute the bad guys. I put violent and dangerous people in the position where they had to answer to justice. And I prosecuted drunk drivers, domestic abusers, assailants. I've had widespread opportunities to ensure that justice is done. And as I said before, I've been in court. I've advocated on behalf of clients, on behalf of businesses. I've stood up for the rights of people. And I believe that's a quality, an experience that I can apply directly to the role as AG. It is, by the way, a quality that I think I'm unique in this race as far as Republican candidates are concerned.
Any discussion of judicial philosophy can get sort of big and intimidating, but I think there's some good ways to benchmark it. Short answer without sort of getting into a whole doctoral discussion. How would you describe your judicial philosophy, and who's your favorite United States Supreme Court justice, and why?
Are you suggesting I'm professorial?
Absolutely. In a good way.
Yes. I believe in the Constitution. I do not believe that you can legislate, you should legislate from the bench, that there are strict guidelines with regard to the branches of government. And as far as the court is concerned, on the Supreme Court, I would have to say that this is not a fair question for me because I was sworn into the United States Supreme Court by Justice Rehnquist. So he is, because of that, my favorite judge. He's no longer with us, sadly. But today I would say probably my favorite justice is Justice Alito is a justice that I think is a person that best stands for the things that I believe in, standing up for the most vulnerable among us, private property rights, and a strict constitutional lawyer and jurist.
Before we know it, the race is going to be hot and heavy. What are the major issues for the office that you see on the horizon? What sort of problems need immediate tackling? What would your first action be after you're sworn in as Attorney General? I mean, what needs your focus right away in the Attorney General's office?
I think probably the most important, I applaud the strong leadership of our current Attorney General for the years in office. I think he's marshaled his resources well and addressed issues that are important in the state of Michigan. I think, though, if I had the opportunity to put something in place right away, to move immediately on something, it would be in the area of cybercrime and the need to protect citizens and families and children from what has become an extremely prolific environment for very dangerous activity, crimes of all natures, whether it's predatory in nature, whether it's there are those out there who would like to steal identity and get personal information. Unbelievable amounts of harassment go on through the internet and through this technology that's out there today. And I believe it's incumbent upon the next Attorney General to ensure that resources are put towards crimes like that. We, for example, should not be the leader in this state, in the country, in the area of identity theft. We have to eradicate that here in Michigan, and we have to put the resources forward as necessary to ensure that that doesn't happen. I was the author of the Identity Theft Protection Act here in Michigan, and I was also the author of the Michigan Child Protection Registry. Both of those issues are part of my desire as a public servant to ensure that I address the most important areas of government, just to protect people and protect rights. And I think they apply well to the role of Attorney General, and the experience will do me well in the process of setting up a team that will address those very issues.
One area of identity theft that's sort of been in the news lately, and it's particularly scary every election cycle, is ballot integrity. Do you support no reason absentee voting? Is Acorn a problem? I mean, where are you at on the whole ballot integrity issue?
It's a good question, and no, I don't support the proposal for no reason absentee ballot. Frankly, citizens have a right now for absentee ballots. All they have to do is apply to their local clerk and give a reason why they're not going to be there. There's no specific reason why you can't get an absentee ballot. It's the option's there. I am concerned about voter fraud, and I am concerned that if you open up the spigot for anybody to vote anytime, you have the potential of bringing in all kinds of voter fraud and compromising the integrity of the system. And I absolutely believe that you have to protect it at every level, especially today when you've got this cybercrime out there. You've got all kinds of ways to defeat the system that's in place. A couple other things too. I was on the committee that addressed this issue some time ago. There is no proof that absentee ballot anytime will increase voter participation. So if there is no problem, if you're not going to solve the problem that you're setting out to solve, then why push the issue any further? It's entirely political at this point in time. And lastly, I would say, Nick, we are in a country that sets aside a ceremonial day. In this United States, we set aside a ceremonial day to vote. It's one of the most important things that we have, most important rights that we have. And I think we got to protect that day. And instead of trying to find a way to dilute that day and diminish its importance, we ought to protect that day and make sure that people understand we have time to vote. You got plenty of time to do it. Go vote and be proud to vote on that day.
Is identity theft, I might go back to that, is that the next great challenge that's facing the state when it comes to consumer protection?
I believe it is. There's just way too much exposure out there. We don't have any idea. And the greatest area of expansion in that area of identity theft is in the area of children, those that are 18 and younger, who don't know that their identity is being stolen until they become adults and they apply for credit for the first time. So I absolutely think this is an epidemic right now, and it is the responsibility of law enforcement and those that advocate on behalf of people that we raise this to a high level of concern and that we marshal resources necessary.
It's a wide-ranging issue.
It is.